Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are so happy to see all of you here, and we hope you've enjoyed your week together so far at GirlCon. We are ecstatic to introduce our second keynote speaker of the GirlCon 2020 conference. She is a 5-time Olympic medalist, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and angel investor. Introducing Nastia Liukin. Nastia Liukin became a part of the gymnastics elite when she took home the gold medal for the all-around event at the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing. After retiring from the sport at the age of 22, Nastia set out to make her mark on the gymnastics world and beyond.
She began commentating with NBC, solidifying her position as one of gymnastics' best analysts. She started a tech platform to empower the next generation of female athletes by connecting them with their mentors, sports psychologists, nutritionists, college recruiters, and her Olympic peers. She created and designed sold-out gymnastics leotard collections, and she founded one of the most coveted Olympic qualifying events in gymnastics, the Nastia Liukin Cup.
Tapping into the loyal fan base she has cultivated over the last 10 years, Nastia launched her influencer business, which has led to collaborations with world-leading brands and retailers such as Nike, Sephora, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom, Netflix, Visa, and more. Recently, Nastia parlayed her love for beauty and skincare into a collaboration with Volition Beauty, a celery-powered moisturizer that is currently being sold online at Sephora and in all Sephora North America stores. This upcoming Olympic year, Nastia will head to Tokyo with NBC to commentate the women's gymnastics events throughout the Games. And with that, please give a very warm welcome to not only my personal childhood hero, but the world-renowned one and only Nastia Liukin.
Hi, you guys. Oh my gosh, you're so cute. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I was just telling you guys backstage that I was so excited when you guys reached out, and just what you guys are doing is so incredible. So thank you. You guys are inspirations to girls everywhere just by being able to do this. And for me, I am just thrilled to be one of your keynote speakers. Appreciate the nice little intro too. But I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. First of all, I feel like this has obviously been such a strange year for so many of us, but I think, you know, it's obviously taught us a lot about life and ourselves. And I think kind of going back to my early days in my career, throughout my, I guess, gymnastics career, I was able to learn so many great lessons, and most of those lessons through obstacles. And so, you know, being able to get through those obstacles that I'll kind of share with you has helped me, at least through these difficult times. So backing up, I was born in Moscow, Russia. And we moved to the United States as immigrants when I was about 2.5 years old. Both my parents were gymnasts, and my dad competed at the '88 Olympic Games, won 2 gold and 2 silver medals, and my mom was rhythmic gymnast and a world champion. So ever since I can remember, gymnastics was a huge part of my life. They truly wanted me to find something that I loved and that I had a passion for, and that was gymnastics, ever since I can remember. And so kind of early on, I progressed through the rankings and the levels, and made the junior national team when I was about 12 years old. A few years later, made the senior national team, became a world champion for the first time in 2005. And then, as you guys mentioned, competed at the 2008 Olympic Games. And ever since I was a little girl, you know, a lot of people always ask me when I had Olympic aspirations. And I feel like pretty early on, I truly did gymnastics just because I loved it and I had a huge passion for it. As I did start progressing through the levels, the Olympics started becoming something that I thought maybe it could be this attainable, achievable thing. But I always made sure that I had that passion for it, because training 7 hours a day, 6 days a week for so many years was definitely challenging. And I get asked quite a bit too if I ever wanted to quit gymnastics. And to be completely honest, there were so many times that I wanted to quit. And something that my mom taught me ever since I was a little girl was that, you know, I would come home some days after bad training days, or when I was injured or going through an obstacle or something, and I would come home and I would tell my mom that I wanted to quit and I didn't want to do it anymore. And she would say, "That's totally fine. You can quit, but not today. And she would make me go back. This was the only time that my mom actually forced me to do gymnastics, was after bad days. And at the time, I remember just being so annoyed with it. But it taught me so much, because she said that I had to have a good day and then I could quit. And so sometimes that was the very next day. Sometimes that was a week later, 5 days later, or however long. And I remember coming home after having a good day, and my mom would say, okay, great, now you can quit. We'll enroll you back into, public school, find another activity that you like to do. And I remember saying, like, I don't know what you're talking about. I never said I wanted to quit. So basically the moral and the lesson, of that story is that you can never quit or give up on a bad day. And I feel like, especially through these hard days that we're going through today, and in this year specifically, it's been such a strange and hard year, I think, for so many, and still not quite knowing, when things will go back to, I guess, whatever normal is for so many of us. I keep going back to that piece of advice that she shared with me. And, we can have bad days. We can have days where they can be scary, and life can feel like a huge obstacle, like just one big obstacle right now for so many of us. But if we can continue kind of having these small goals and these small dreams for ourselves, and just really trying to find that purpose in your life. And it doesn't have to be something as huge as going to the Olympics and winning an Olympic gold medal. That's not what life is about. It can be just something as simple as getting up and doing 10 sit-ups that day and having enough water. I mean, writing out things that maybe you're thankful and grateful for that day. Trying to read one chapter in your book, or finish a book by the end of this week. I mean, it's so important to set these little goals for yourself every single day. And it doesn't have to be, again, winning an Olympic gold medal. But I think it's so important to kind of set goals for yourself, so you really feel like you're striving to achieve something on a day-to-day basis, especially when we are all at home right now, and not traveling, and maybe not necessarily working or going to school. Or being able to hang out with all of your friends like you would in a normal summer. So those are some of the things that kind of helped get me through during my gymnastics career. And now I'm realizing, even more so than ever before, that these are the things that are getting me through these strange and difficult times today. So after competing at the Olympics, I was so fortunate to just have one of the best competitions of my life, and in the best few weeks truly there, winning 5 medals, including the all-around gold medal. At the time, it was, I definitely felt like I was on top of the world, but I was also left kind of empty. I was left thinking, what now? I had achieved my quote unquote lifelong dream at just 18 years old, and I was on top of the world. I had really, that was the biggest dream in my entire life up until that moment. And as great of a feeling as it was also really scary, because I also knew that now I had the rest of my life to live, and I didn't have a goal for the first time in my life. And so it was a moment of having to almost start over at the time. But instead of completely starting over, I decided that I wanted to keep training and try to make my second Olympic team. And I feel like this moment, and in the time that I guess I started training again and trying to make my second Olympic team, was truly the moment that I learned most about myself in life. So now, going into my second Olympic trials, I was now the reigning Olympic all-around champion. So I had a lot more eyes on me. I had a lot more expectations, and also the amount of pressure that I just put on myself, as not even talking about everybody else's, was very stressful and very nerve-wracking. But I also knew that I didn't want to be at the next Olympics thinking, what if I would have tried? What if I would have given it my all? And I didn't want to be sitting in the stands thinking, what if, and having, that regret. And so that's what I decided to do. I started training 7 hours a day, 6 days a week again. For about a few years after the Beijing Olympics, after I won, I was traveling the world and had so many incredible opportunities, and meeting so many just people that I had always looked up to and learned from. And I was so, so grateful for those opportunities. But I was itching to get back in the gym because that was my true passion, my true love. So made it all the way to the Olympic trials. And on my very best event, the uneven bars, I fell off the bar and I landed flat on my face. You guys can YouTube it. At the time, it was not funny. Still not really funny, but you know, I've seen this meme so many times. I actually posted it recently, but I remember laying there on the mat thinking, what am I doing down here? I'm supposed to be up on the bar, finishing my bar routine, making my second Olympic team. And then I just remember being so embarrassed and so mortified that, you know, I just wanted to crawl underneath the podium and crawl underneath a rock. Like I just truly felt like I let so many people down. And just being embarrassed that I just literally fell on my face in front of millions watching at home and 20,000 people in that arena. And my dad, who was my coach my entire life, he immediately asked if I was okay, if I was injured, and I wasn't. Had a headache for a few days after that, but I remember him telling me, like, the dad instinct came out in him right away, and he said, like, you don't have to finish. And in my head, I immediately remember them always kind of teaching me that no matter what happens, you always have to finish what you've started. And so now, knowing that I wasn't going to make my second Olympic team, I wanted to finish my career on my own terms. And that's not the way that I wanted to finish my career, was ending on my face. So I got back up, finished my routine, landed on my feet on my dismount. And for the very first time in my entire life and career, I had a standing ovation for the worst routine of my entire life and career. And I remember just being so confused in the moment, thinking, these people should not be cheering for me. I think I first looked around the arena to see, like, who else just went and had the best routine of their life, and they were about to make, you know, their Olympic team, and nobody else was going. I was the only person up there on the podium. And so then I started, like, as 20,000 people stood to their feet, everything kind of was just a blur. Yet at the same time, being so confused, I started realizing that everything I thought for 22 years up until that moment was not true. Because for so many years, I always thought that people were only going to love me and support me and cheer me on if I was the best, if I won, if I landed, you know, did amazing bar routine and stuck my dismount, if I won that gold medal. And what I realized in that moment became life-changing for me, and it became the defining moment of my entire career. And I think for some people, when they hear me say that me falling on my face was the defining moment of my career, they maybe don't believe me, but it truly was. Because when I realized why these people were standing on their feet, why they were still cheering for me, everything just clicked. For so many years, I truly thought that we were defined by our accomplishments. And that was the moment that I realized that's not what life is about. And yes, don't get me wrong, like, I'm proud of the moment that I had in Beijing where I won that Olympic gold medal. But it really just made me realize that when you work so hard and you don't give up on those bad days, anything is possible. And that's obviously an extremely great lesson to learn and to know. But at the same time, the lessons that I learned when I fell on my face, got back up and finished my routine and got a standing ovation were so much greater than when I won a gold medal. And so I think that that lesson for me made me realize that, you know, we will never be defined by a placement, by an accomplishment, by a salary, by a job title, by a relationship, by what school you go to. Like, those are not things that define you as a human. We will forever be remembered. And that's what I always try to tell myself. Like, when we're gone from this earth, people will always remember how you made them feel, and not necessarily the amount of medals that you have. You know, it's like, that's not part of who you are. It's just something that you have done. And so while I am proud of the moments that I have, and I am so, so grateful that gymnastics has given me the platform that I have today, I truly feel like it doesn't define who I am. It's just part of, it's just something that I have done, basically. And so, so that's kind of, I guess, my message that I hope you all learn and maybe take away today is that, we're never going to be defined by these moments, but more importantly, it's so much more important to be a nice person and to be a great teammate and a great sister and a great friend and a great everything. Way, way, way more important than any kind of accomplishment that you'll have. So hopefully you guys will remember that. Go YouTube me falling on my face, because I feel like now is a good time to kind of put all that into context. But it truly was that moment where it just became the defining moment of my life and career. So thanks for letting me share that with you guys. And I hope that you always remember that we will always have moments in our lives where we fall on our face, whether that's literally like I did or figuratively. And especially now during these very difficult times that everybody is going through, just always remember to never quit on a bad day and to always finish what you've started. So with that being said, I think we're gonna open it up to some questions, which I am so excited to answer some of your questions. Hi.
Yeah. So if you guys want to drop some of your questions in the chat, we can go through them and pick them out, and Nastia can answer them.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Nastia. Your stories were so inspirational, and thank you. So our first question for you is from Nadia, and she asked about your motivation. So she said, how have you remained motivated for so many years, especially from a young age? And we've also gotten other questions about, is there someone or something that you looked up to that kept you motivated throughout your training?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was so fortunate to have so many incredible mentors throughout my entire life and career, both in gymnastics and then also just in life and business, friendships, relationships, everything. And some of my biggest mentors actually were my parents. As I kind of mentioned earlier, we moved to this country really just with nothing. We didn't, none of it, well, obviously I was a baby, but my parents, I'm the only child. So my parents moved here to, give me the best possible life that they could, but also for their own dream. And their dream was to always open up a gymnastics school one day and coach their own athletes to becoming hopefully world and Olympic champions. They never imagined it would be me, their own daughter, but just being able, and the older I get, I feel like the more I appreciate it more and more, just seeing how hard that they had to work. They had absolutely no money. They couldn't speak the language. They just had this dream. And so, it has taught me just truly the definition of hard work and, not letting anything get to you. And even like, you can just never say like, you can't do something because financially or a language, or like you have to break down all those barriers. And so that's really what they have done and they have taught me. So they truly kind of motivated me. In terms of staying motivated for so many years, especially at an early age, it definitely goes back to my dreams and my goals, right? And so as I was kind of sharing, it's important to have big long-term dreams and goals. Like for me, for a long time, it was the Olympics, but it's just as important to have daily, weekly, monthly goals. So you truly feel like you're striving to achieve something on a day-to-day basis. And I feel like that is really kind of what helps me get through those difficult times. It is kind of going back to your goals. Something I love doing, creating vision boards, super fun activity, especially now that we probably all have some extra time while we're at home. But I normally do this before every New Year's day. So kind of like between Christmas and New Year's Eve. I love doing this kind of with my family or friends or, whoever I'm with, and just kind of thinking about the year ahead and adding some of my favorite inspirational quotes, pictures, people that, you know, inspire me, or the things that I want to achieve and accomplish. I'm huge at manifesting things. The Olympics is definitely one of those, but even now, just in my professional life, my manager Britt and I, we always talk about this together, and it's so important to have, you know, professional goals, but also personal goals as well. And so that's something that I've always done. So those are kind of the things I feel like that kind of motivate me, because being able to see it just in front of you is really helpful, as opposed to, like, we all know that we have things in our minds that we want to achieve, but when you can kind of see it down, whether it's on a poster or a paper or something, is really helpful.
Thank you so much for that advice. It was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So another question we have is from Dia, and she asked, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, such a great question. I'm not a very patient person, and I'm sure some people watching this that know me are laughing because they totally know that that's so true. I have been working on my patience for a very long time. It's like when I, you know, want something or want to achieve something or accomplish something, like I want it to happen like right then and right there. And so, and I feel like that kind of comes from when I was a young girl. I really always wanted to kind of do the next thing, right? Whether it was like an age. So whether when I was 9, I wanted to be 10 to be double digits. And then I wanted to be 13 to be like a teenager. And then, you know, 16 to get my license. And like, I really kept like rushing through things a lot. And so I feel like now I just turned 30 this last year. And so I'm like, wait a second, like, let's put a pause on things instead of rushing through. But I feel like I would tell my younger self to just stay a little bit more present and enjoy the moment a little bit more. Not that I didn't enjoy the moments, but I feel like I really was trying to rush through things quickly. And even, you know, like the Olympics, I remember being in China and we were just like, okay, like we just want training to be done, because we were there like a few weeks before the competition started. So like we just wanted training to be done with so we could compete. And then it was like once team was done, I was like, okay, hurry up, I want it to be all around finals. And then all of a sudden, like in a blink of an eye, the Olympics are over, and it's just like, whoa, you know, you were just trying to like hurry up and get through. So I feel like my advice would be to try to stay present and live in the moment a little bit more.
That's so inspirational. Thank you, Nastia. And then the next question is also from the chat, and we're going to add a layer of it from some of the questions we got from registration. So Nastia, we're so inspired by the way that you manage pressure during gymnastics events with all the cameras following you and the press attention. So how do you manage all the competition nerves when it seems so easy to get bogged down in statistics and social media and headlines and just block out all that noise around you? And I guess how has this kind of helped you deal with that in your life endeavors and in your life?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So again, something that my parents kind of taught me was they would always say, like, if you watch a horse race, and not that I'm not a huge watcher in horse races, I guess, but I feel like when you are looking at a horse and you can like see them at the race and they have like blinders on, and that's, you know, obviously to keep them focused and not distracted by the other horses and by what's going on. And so that's kind of what I always tried to do, was no matter where I was, no matter what competition I was at, was always kind of have my like, my blinders on, I guess. And, you know, especially at the my imaginary blinders, especially at the Olympics, there's so much happening. Like in the arena, there's, you know, especially in gymnastics, there's 4 events going on at the same time. The music, the audience, the other teams, like there's a lot. So I feel like for me, it was really important to try to stay kind of like in my own lane and stay focused. And that's kind of what helped me, I guess. Like, but it took a lot of practice. Like it wasn't something that happened overnight, for sure. With social media, it's definitely very challenging, and it's something that I still am working on every single day. I'd be lying to say that, you know, things don't affect me, or they, you know, like we all have hearts basically at the end of the day. And I could sit here and tell you like, I don't, anytime I get like a negative message or a hateful, comment or message or something, it doesn't affect me. But I would be lying to say that it doesn't truly affect me. I feel like I've tried to work up to, building a little thicker skin, for sure. But at the end of the day, I think it's so important to just constantly spread kindness and be kind to one another, because you never know what anybody is going through. And as much of my life, is public, I would say. And I know like I'm putting that out there, obviously, but there's a lot that people don't know. And whether it's me or somebody else, you never know what kind of difficult situations somebody may be going through. So just always be kind, basically. I mean, it sounds so simple, but I feel like it's just still something that we need to continuously try to be better at.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's great advice. And I really think we should all continue to do that. Our next question is from Trinity. And a lot of us, we actually look up to you and you're our role model. So we wanted to know, who was your inspirational figure growing up?
Thank you. First of all, you guys are so sweet. As I kind of said, was so lucky to have so many incredible mentors throughout my gymnastics career. But I would say a lot of them were my teammates, and whether it was teammates that also went to the Olympics and won a gold medal, or just teammates at my gym that, they were the older girls. And so I grew up trying to just be like them. And they truly set such a great path for me, I feel like, both as athletes, but also just, as humans. That being said, I would say outside of my teammates, my mom has been one of my biggest role models. Not only for the hard worker that she is, but just the incredible mother and wife and partner and everything, and friend and human and just everything that she is. I feel like for those that have met my mom, I'm obviously biased, it's my mom, but I feel like for those that have met my mom, they would probably agree. She just has the kindest soul and she always puts everybody else first. And sometimes I have to remind her to take care of herself a little bit more, because she is always doing stuff for other people. And so, she, again, as I was kind of sharing earlier, like it's important to have mentors like in your industry, I guess, or trying to help you achieve your dreams and your goals. But it's just as important to have great role models trying to, teach you and show you how to be a great human.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we have another question from Lexi that asks, how did you deal with balance, especially as a teenager? Because we all have like school and our social life, but you also had practice on top of that. So how did you maintain that balance?
I did, yeah. I went to public school up until about 5th grade, and then I started going to private school. That helped me basically train twice a day. So I would go to school in between the two practices. And for me, my parents always really wanted me to have as normal of a childhood as possible. So like on weekends, we would always do family stuff, and growing up and living in Texas, basically my whole life, a lot of it was, hanging out by the pool with the dogs, going to the lake, going on a boat, just like normal family stuff, going to the mall or movies or whatever. And I feel like, I don't know, and I know not everybody is like this, but I kind of just realized that you have the rest of your life to do all of those things. And, especially in a sport like gymnastics, it's a very short-lived sport. And so, you only have X amount of years and time and opportunity to train and to compete and all of that. Yet you have the rest of your life to have sleepovers on a gym/school night. And so to me, it was kind of an easy balance. That being said, like, yeah, training 7 hours a day, 6 days a week wasn't always easy. But I felt like I never, like, looking back, I don't regret a single thing from my childhood or even my high school days. Like, I still went to my senior prom, but I was home by like 10 o'clock because I had 8 a.m. training the next day. So again, like, you know, some of my other friends were out, you know, to whatever time their curfew was, but I just knew that, you know, and it wasn't something that like my parents forced me to do. I just knew that, okay, it's the year before the Olympics. Every single day of training matters and counts. And so if I were to stay out later, I wouldn't get enough sleep, and then I'd have a bad training and just be exhausted, because I'm the kind of person that needs my sleep. And so I just learned that about myself very early on. So, so yeah, I feel like, you know, it's so important to have that balance basically, but I didn't have any regrets for the amount of, you know, the time that I spent in the gym, I guess. And when I wasn't in the gym, it was important for me to spend time with family and friends and do all that. But you do have to make sacrifices. And I think like that's obviously important to make those sacrifices. And every single sacrifice that I made, looking back at it, like I don't have any regrets for doing that.
Amazing. Thank you, Nastia. So we have another question from the chat. It's more about your journey after the Olympics with post gymnastics. So what values do you hold both as an athlete and as an entrepreneur? And I think this really also gets into how can we as young women grow into our best selves and find our own self-confidence? Because I know you talk a lot about how you had that journey of finding yourself as a person outside of gymnastics. So if you could just speak to that and going to college and how you got to be an entrepreneur, which is so awesome.
Going to college, first of all, moving to New York, going to NYU was probably the best decision that I made as soon as I retired from gymnastics, being 22. And, you know, first of all, transitions in life are extremely challenging and extremely difficult. No matter how old you are, no matter if you're 18, 22, 30, whatever, like transitions are tough. And so first of all, acknowledge that, like acknowledge that that's okay. It's okay to not know what you want to do. It's okay to change careers. It's okay to go through changes, life changes. But going to school truly kind of helped shape the rest of my life. And, you know, I'm still working on it, honestly, every single day. I don't think I have it totally all figured out. And I think that's okay. Like, it's okay to not know. It's okay to constantly be evolving and working on yourself and growing confidence and growing in all areas of your life. That's healthy and that's so normal. But I feel like for me, it's always important to also stay true to who you are, right? And so that has been something super important for me, both as an athlete and as an entrepreneur, in all aspects really of my business, you know, working with so many incredible brands. And I'm so lucky that I have, first of all, such an incredible team of people that I feel like truly understand me all the way down to my core and my values and my passions. And that's important. Kind of staying true to your values and to your passions and to your mission. That's the most important thing, because there have been, you know, opportunities that have come my way that just don't fit, you know, who I am as a person, as an athlete, as an entrepreneur, all of those things. And so I think staying true to who you are is the most important thing that you can do, and constantly speak and voice your opinions on what you believe in and what matters, and giving back and figuring out, first of all, what those beliefs are, right? And so, and then truly staying aligned with that. So again, like, I feel like I'm constantly learning and evolving and trying to be better. I feel like I, you know, don't always have it all figured out. And again, that's okay. And I think that these times that we're living in has truly been like a huge learning lesson for so many. And I'm constantly trying to be a better person and support the organizations and communities that I truly believe in as well. So yeah, staying true to who you are, but constantly learning. I think we can never be too old to learn. And so that's something that, you know, every single day I'm still working on that.
Thank you so much, Nastia. We really appreciate all of it. Thank you.
Thank you. This was so fun. Such great questions. And again, thank you guys so much. What you're all doing is so incredible. So keep being you, keep working hard. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here with us. We
Yeah.
are all so inspired by your words.
Of course. Once again, thank you so much, Nastia, for sharing your journey and advice with us. This concludes our second keynote speech, and we can't wait for all of you to go to the breakout and professional development sessions you registered for today and this week.
And right now, one of our core team members is going to send the link for the chat to record your attendance for the session. And this will make you have a greater chance of getting a swag bag, so make sure you fill out the form.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for coming, and thank you so much, Nastia, again. It's been such a pleasure having you, and we can't thank you enough for being here.
We really can't.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Bye.